Abass Baraou versus Sam Eggington, 12 rounds in the 154-pound division. This is taking place March 1st over in the UK. Let's get into it. Let's start with Abass Baraou. 13 wins, 1 loss, 9 wins by way of knockout. His only loss came from when he fought Jack Culcay, a name that a casual fan of boxing might not know, but a name, if you're an avid watcher of boxing, you know, because he's fought guys like Duryachenko, Sulecki, and of course, Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. And even though Culcay lost those fights, he carries over that momentum and experience. And so we were going to see how Baraou was going to handle all of that against a quality opponent in Jack Culcay. Let's go there. Baraou, man, if you've never seen him fight before, he's got a little bit of the herky-jerky, fluid movement in the torso type of style, right? Kind of back and forth, rocking side to side, right? Trying to find different ways how to create the openings, trying to give his opponent something to kind of worry about, because from that herky-jerky style, you don't know if it could be a jab to the body. You don't know if it could be an overhand shot. You just don't know, because it's a lot of movement and subtleness towards what he's trying to do. And I felt like Baraou, to me, is a rhythmic and fluid fighter, right? He needs to find the right timing, and he does have good timing once he figures out what his opponents are doing. Early on against Culcay, there were some close rounds, right? There wasn't a lot of action early on in that fight. Both men seemed like they didn't want to get countered. They didn't want to make too many mistakes. Whenever one of them overcommitted, either one of them would get clipped with a shot, a return fire to the body, a return fire to the head. Felt like Culcay was patient throughout that fight. The experience was showing a little bit. He didn't get caught up in the movement of Baraou, right? Both men kept it right in front of each other. They didn't have to search too hard or cut off the ring too much in order to find each other. Felt like Baraou did some subtle but slick shots that got through, jab to the body from in close. You could see that he was disguising his attacks and disguising the way how he was coming in. He's a guy that has good power behind his shots, but not devastating power, but he can make you pay. And you could see Culcay was feeling some of that power whenever Baraou was delivering one of his shots, especially to the body. I also feel like Baraou is a guy, man, where he's very disciplined when it comes to the game plan. He comes in with a plan, and he's going to do everything to stick to that plan. And so that's one of his strengths. But you also wonder, when things aren't going in your favor, can you adjust? Can you maneuver and find a different way how to execute the same plan, but from a different style, from a different point of view? I thought it was a close fight. And from watching the tape, you can make a case for either guy winning the fight. I don't personally think either man really separated from each other throughout that fight. Also felt like Baraou's power towards the last 4 rounds kind of diminished a little bit. Like, he was still letting his hands go as best as he could, but the steam that he had on it at the beginning of the fight, it wasn't as strong as it was. You could also kind of say, like, momentum was one of those things that was kind of going to one guy in one round, the other guy in the other round. So it was kind of hard to say who really separated themselves. I didn't really see a big separation, but I can understand how Culcay won, and I could understand why many still think Baraou won that fight. After Culcay, Baraou's next few opponents were modest guys with modest records, and it was fights that he was supposed to look good in. And sometimes those can be trap fights, right, where you're supposed to look good and you struggle a little bit. But that wasn't the case for him, especially when he fought Quintana, right? He looked strong, he looked fast, punishing body shots in that fight, dropped him with a punishing right hand in the 5th round. So the fights that he was supposed to look good, he did look good. So this is a great opportunity for him to be able to come into a fighter's backyard and steal the victory. And I think it's going to be great for him if he can get it done and dominate the fight. But he can't overlook Sam Eggington, man. Yeah, he's got 8 losses, but this is a guy who's looked really good in his past 2 fights. And he's got a lot more experience than Baraou, especially in the professional setting. So let's talk about Sam Eggington. 34 wins, 8 losses, 20 wins by way of knockout. As I said, in terms of experience, he's the more experienced fighter. He's got more knockouts than Baraou as well, too. The guys that Eggington has lost to have been guys who are atop the domestic level and mixed with a few champions as well in their own right? He's got wins over Pali Malianaji. He lost to Bradley Skeet. He lost to Muhammad Mimo. Hassan Mukwanyo, Liam Smith, and I think he lost to Ted Cheeseman and in a close fight against Dennis Hogan. This is a guy who's not afraid to fight anybody, right? Like, I feel like he likes the challenge, and he's at a stage in his career right now where he welcomes all challenges from anybody. I've seen Eggington in some fights where I'm like, yeah, like he doesn't really look too good, not really liking what I'm seeing. And then I've seen him in fights where I'm like, wait a minute, that's a totally different version of him, and he looks great. Great example of that was his most recent fight when he fought Joe Pigford, who was undefeated. And the way Sam Eggington fought that fight, like, that's a tough version of him to beat. Against Pigford, he used his experience. He used his jab both on the front foot and on the back foot. He never really looked overwhelmed or any of that. He disguised his shots well. He countered with force and accuracy when the opportunity was there. He let his hands go when he was in close range. He knows how to use his physical advantages to his strength. And I feel like that's some stuff that he's been improving on over his recent fight. He was able to slip in some awkward shots from different angles against Pigford, right? He caught Pigford with the right hand on the chin when his hands were down, followed by a looping left hook that caught Pigford, and he found himself in trouble. And with everything that he had left, he just let his hands go with every shot, and he was able to close out the show, right? So talking about making a statement against a guy who was supposed to beat you, and you come in and you upset the apple cart, so to speak, and defeat the undefeated fighter. So again, this is a guy where you can't fully pay attention to the record because he's gonna fight you tough, and in boxing, as we know, anything can happen on any given night. When he fought Dennis Hogan, I thought he fought him well. Like, Hogan fought Munguia to a tough fight. A lot of people thought Hogan won that fight, right? But I felt like when he fought Eggington, Eggington looked a little sloppy in his approach. Seemed like he couldn't really figure out what to do. Right? He had his moments where he caught Hogan with a big right hand, but Eggington got outboxed that night. He looked tired to me in the last 3 rounds. And I think because of the tiredness, man, Hogan was able to capitalize and seize the momentum because Eggington was making mistakes. And so Hogan looked sharper on the back end of the fight, held his technique better. But then Eggington rebounded and won his next 2 fights and looked very good in those fights. So I think it's just which version of him shows up on the night. What is the game plan coming in? So who wins? I think it's a close fight, man. And I think I lean different ways for different things. For the experience wise, if we're looking at Baraou, when he fought a more experienced fighter on that world caliber stage, he did have a good account of himself, but he didn't win that fight, and the experience kind of showed. But Baraou has the speed, the timing, and he has good power. And when he is locked in, he is tough to beat as well, too. He's an athletic guy, and athletic movement always plays in your favor. So it's going to be very interesting fight, man. I wonder how Baraou will handle the aggression of Eggington, especially if he's on the front foot pushing the pace, because you cannot get too emotional in the fight, because if you would try to come in and brawl Eggington, I don't know if that's a fight that Baraou was going to win. I think that puts himself in a lot of trouble if he does that. But if he can keep the distance and keep moving and doesn't gas out, there's a great opportunity here where we could see him outbox Eggington. And if he clips Eggington the right way, well, maybe that's a way where he can stop him as well, too. So it's going to be interesting, man. Going to be interesting fight. This is a fight where I could see either man winning it, depending on what you like. But there is a way for both men to win this fight. I think it's going to be decision victory. If I had to say, man, right now, I kind of lean Baraou to win this fight by decision. But again, Sam Eggington, like, he's at home. He's been looking really good in his last 2 fights. So, Eggington is the odds are going to be in his favor a little bit as well, too, because he is the home fighter. But Baraou fighting in other people's home country isn't new to him. But we'll see how it goes, man. But right now, I think Baraou gets it done by some type of decision, maybe a split decision win. But I would not count out Eggington to win this fight. We'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a couple ways that you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel. It will be greatly appreciated. Shout out to everybody that continues to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video, this time do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.